that. Okay? We will have to use this strategy to search for the candidate. Okay? But strategy. First, you need to have a board team, so you don't do it alone. You need to have people from the different areas. So for example, the HR, the department that they will be working in. Some companies, big companies, they will have an HR specialist for that department who can replace, for example, the manager. But most of the time, the manager, they will need to be involved in this in order to help you identify the technical things, for example, that the HR person will not usually know. You will also need someone, for example, from finance to know the financial capability of the project, the feasibility. And after that, you will need to analyze the HR strategy. So far, we've been talking about the recruitment, recruiting someone to the company. HR is the general strategy for all human resources in the company. That includes branding, includes the culture of the company, includes the employee experience. All these things are included in the HR strategy. Okay? There are many types of strategies in the company. There is a corporate strategy, marketing strategy, HR strategy. So recruitment strategy falls under HR, which falls under the corporate. So you need to understand your company and the HR strategy of your company before you can develop a good strategy for your recruitment. For example, if your HR strategy is focusing on employee experience, and then you design a recruitment strategy that focuses on cost, it will be conflicting. It will not work. And the same is the opposite. If your company focuses on budget, and then you start to design something that is very experience-oriented and expensive, you will have a lot of resistance from the management, for example, because it does not make sense for them. This is not the company that you are working with. After you have these two, then you will start to collect the available data. It's from the planning stage. So the first two, you can do them while you are doing the planning at the same time, because they are not related to the plan. But the third stage, you need to have a certain plan before you can do it, because you will depend on the data that you collected from your plan. Okay? Then you need to analyze the data collected. As we mentioned, that it needs some things that are not mentioned in the job description, but they are important for the company. You need to analyze them here, so you will fully understand how they can fall in your strategy. So if you are looking for people who are very IT oriented, or for example, you are looking for people who in the tech industry, you can go to places like GitHub, which is an IT specialist platform, instead of going to LinkedIn, which is a general one. It depends, but you need to understand, fully analyze. Analyze means deeply understand what you are looking for, and how can you design actions that will fall in line with this. So everything you need to do, it needs to be happening in one path. Like you have a path, a strategy is the path that you will walk on. So it needs to be clear, and it needs to have a reason for everything. You cannot do something without a reason. If you make a mistake and your boss comes to you and tells you why this happened, you need to give them a reason, a good reason. Otherwise, you are in trouble. So you always have a reason. If you have a reason and it's a good reason, you will not be in trouble even if you fail, because that means something wrong has happened that maybe you cannot control in some cases. But even if it's not something you cannot control, but you did not understand why it happened, and I come to you and I'm your boss, I'll be really pissed because you did something without understanding what you are doing. So it's meaningless. The last one is setting the recruitment strategy that we mentioned. So what kind of the employment, is it remote? Okay. How I will find them? Online? Okay. What kind of recruitment? I need them to be freelancers because I'm not sure how much demand I will have. Okay. So how can I reach the freelancers? There are freelancing sites. That's good. Through referencing. Okay. Do I have to focus on the customer experience? Do I need to give them really good benefit? For example, some companies will focus on giving a high salary. Other companies will focus on providing an experience and learning and development through the job. Different people will be looking for different things. So some people will focus on the value, the money. Usually these are the more experienced people. But other people will focus on the culture, the lifestyle. So, for example, some people will go to companies who pay double or triple the market, but they will ask you to work 12 hours a day. For some people, that's okay. For others, that's a big no. So you need to understand what kind of employees are you looking for, and how can you reach to these people, not everyone. You're looking for a specific type of people. Okay? So this is a strategy. How can I reach to these people? It's not one thing. It's a lot of things that you do. But they all need to have the same path to the same goal. Okay? Is it clear? So after we are done with that, okay, we will have to use this strategy to search for the candidate. Okay? But, here. In this process, okay, when do you think this process should start? Anyone can guess? When should you start setting up the board? You want to mention something? Oh, okay. Okay, when should you start planning? Okay, so now you are a division manager, a manager in the company. This is the beginning of the year, so you have to do a forecast for next year, right? Okay, so you did the forecasting. It will include employees that you will need, how many more team members that you'll have, right? You'll need to know how many people you need next year. So if your KPI this year is 1 million, next year you want to make it 2. You only have 3 team members. It's not possible. You will need more people in your team, right? So that means after you know how many people you will need in the future, you directly start with designing your strategy, at least with the first steps and the planning. Because these things takes time. Some companies, it takes up to 6 months. So if I suddenly wanted to hire employees and I don't have a plan, I don't have a strategy, it will take me, okay, let's say 1 month. And I need to hire the person in 1.5 months. It's impossible. So I need this one to be in place while planning the project, while planning next year, while making any plan for the business. So I'm making a marketing plan, a sales plan, a business plan. I need to include this, the recruitment plan and recruitment strategy within it. So when the time comes, I don't need to focus on this. So for example, you have your projects. You are starting, let's say, in May, okay? In May, when you are starting, you will have a lot of things to do, right? The last thing you want to do is to take up half your time to do a strategy. Because if you are doing it then, you are wasting a lot of time and you need to focus on other things that are more important at that time. So this is something you do at the planning, at the very early stage. Okay? But that does not mean when you have a strategy, you will implement it directly. So in the selection process is a process that we use the strategy to find the ideal candidates that we identified in our plan. We already know what kind of candidate we are looking for, right? So we use a strategy to get this candidate, but we need something called source activation. What that means is, I already established a strategy in January. Okay? I will put it aside. I document it. I have everything. Everything is ready. I need the employee in June. So on May, I decide that next month I will need the employee. So the manager will reach out to the HR to activate the strategy and start searching for the candidate. Okay? Is this one clear? Yeah. So you already have the plan, you already have the strategy, everything is ready. I just go to the HR. I already establish it with them because you as a manager, you will not do the search by yourself. Except if you are working in HR. I'm talking if you are working, for example, in IT, sales, marketing, anything else, you will not do the recruitment yourself. Even if you are the HR manager, most of the time you will not do the recruitment by yourself. You will have other employees to do it. You have other work to do. So I don't want to go into that process again. I will have everything documented properly. The plan, the strategy, everything, they know what to do. I just go to them, tell them, start, I need the employee by this time. So they will use what we did so far in order to find the employee. Selling means sell our company to the employee. We need to sell it to the employee for them to come to us. We are selling them our brand or our value or our benefits. It depends on what you are selling that you identified earlier in your strategy and your plan. But you are selling it to them so they will be interested to join. Without you providing something, no one will be able